this is Raquel with Paints and Glitter, and today I'm doing a tutorial for you so that you can learn how to make a mini album such as this one. I've shared this in a previous video as an accompaniment to a hat box that I have available for you. This little mini album will fit in that hat box, and let me show you what that looks like. It opens like so, and as you can see, it fits perfectly inside, and it will house about 4 to 8 pictures. It really depends on how you use it, but it does have 4 interior pages. And what I did with the one that I've given away so far was that I put the pictures on this side of the page, and then I just put a funny description or blurb on the back of each page, which is why I matted all of these in white, and then I placed a picture on the final page as well. So yeah, plenty of room there for a tiny little book, but in any case you can make it delicate such as this one, or you can make it clean and simple, whichever way you prefer. The idea is that you have something to put in there to give away. And I was asked if I made a file. I did not make a file because of the type of die that I used. It's not my design, so I decided to just use this for ease of making the little book. You could definitely use any shape. What I wanted to show you there, of course, and this is why I had these out, is that they're stackable dies. So if you own anything like this, it's going to make it a lot easier and much faster. If not, then go ahead and cut out rectangles. And if you have a die that's decorative, then you could definitely use one of those dies to cut your rectangles out so that they have a pretty shape on top. Just on one side, however, that will ensure that the side of your paper, which is going to coincide with the spine of your book, is all cohesive. Okay, so if you're going to have a decorative shape, make sure that it's either on the top of your page or on the side of the page that will open. I hope that helps. This size in particular for this box is, let's see here, I use the die that's 3 3/4 inches wide, and at the highest point it is 3.5 inches tall. So as you can tell, it's not a very big die. And then I use the next size down just to do my matting. So what I've done so far is that I cut out what's going to be, with the largest die, the front and back of my book, and then the front and back of the inside of the book. So you'll need 4 pieces of that in whichever colors you like. This is going to face the outside of my book. This will face the inside. I've also used this die for the interior pages. I'll show you how. But with the smaller die, I've also cut out the matting for the inside of my pages. So because I've only included 4 pages, then I've only had to cut that out 4 times. And now I'm going to show you how to make the pages. What you're going to do is cut out 4 pieces of paper that measure 4 inches, 4 by 4 for this particular little book, and that's just going to make things easier. You're going to score those pages at 1/4 inch only on one side. Then what you're going to do is place this piece of paper on your die cutting machine. Once you've folded it and burnish that fold nicely, you're going to flip it over like this, place it on your die cutting machine, leaving a small space between the edge of that die cut and your paper. If you want to include the stitching line, then you can pull it closer to that line there. If not, then you can go ahead and just make sure that you have the same amount of space, but leave yourself that edge without cutting your paper, and make sure that that fold is right next to it. So I'm hoping that makes sense, but I'm going to go ahead and place this on my die cutting machine. Just like that. And what I like to do, so that my paper doesn't shift, because the die is not moving, the magnet will ensure that my die doesn't move, but it doesn't guarantee that the paper won't. Then just on those 2 little corners, I place a piece of washi tape, just like so. It's going to keep that alignment correct. And now I'm going to go ahead and run this through my die cutting machine. It's going to give me pages that look like this. So basically this will be my hinge mechanism for the inside of the book. They're all going to have that extra little piece there. And here it is. I get the stitching line and then also that fold, and that's just because of the way that I placed it on that die. Okay, so I have 4 pages that look like that. Now what I'll do is flip that page over, and this is the blank side. Now you could definitely match this up with decorative paper as well. I'm going to go ahead and just mat these layers first. I'm just going to place some adhesive here of these papers and place the little mats on each one of these pages. So there's my first one, and you can make these quite quickly, so you can do kind of assembly style if you need to, if you're making more than one, just like this. And then of course, if you want to, this is what I did with mine, just to give it a little something of interest. I took this little stamp that I have in my stash and some brown ink, just to make it neutral, and I stamped the little flower on the corner of each one of these pages. And again, that's just for interest. You don't have to. You can do it on opposite corners, whatever makes you happy, and whatever color you like to match your project. And I just used some distress ink with that because it was what was on my table. So I did that. Now my pages are ready to assemble into my book. Now, to make things easier, what I also did was that I grabbed a piece of paper that's 3 by 3, measured that out, and took my bone folder, and then I scored this piece of paper at 1/2 inch on both sides, so at 1/2 inch and 2.5 inches. I want to make sure this is nice and straight here. There you go. Go ahead and fold your paper, like so. This is going to be the spine of your book. To make the cover, you'll need your decorative piece of paper that's going to face the outside of your book, your spine, the other decorative piece of paper, and you're going to face these down. What you want to make sure is that you grab a ruler or anything that's going to help you keep these papers nice and straight. In my case, I just use the grid on my mat here. Place your adhesive on one side, just like so. I like to extend it, so that's why I always have on my videos, I have glue on the back of my hand. It's because I just place the excess there. Now line up your paper, make sure it's nice and straight. You want to get your 90-degree angle here correct. Place your spine right next to it, just butt it right up. And this is why this needed to be 3 inches. And then lay that right on top. If you need to, you can also use it in this direction. Burnish that with your bone folder, make sure it adheres very nicely, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side. And my little tip is clogged, so that's why I'm not using the thin tip on my glue here. So just line it up again on the opposite side, make sure it's nice and straight, and place your paper down just like that. Now I like to have a nice clean finished look on the inside of my books as well as the outside. So for that reason, I went ahead and cut out the same size to fit here. The other thing is that if you're going to have a ribbon closure, then this is where you want to hide the ribbon. So I have this one here. I think this is what I want to use. I'm going to fold it in half, grab a piece that I think is sensible in length, and I'm going to cut this down. I'll make sure that this is even, and then I'm going to cut it in half. I'll place one on this side here. And again, using my grid here, I'm just going to eyeball this and make sure it's centered. For this, I am going to use hot glue, just a little drop there. And my hot glue is a little bit burned, so in any case, it's going to go right there. And there we go. Now I can adhere this piece of paper on top. So I'm going to place my adhesive. Now I'll place my paper right on top, just like that, and it should line up perfectly because it's the same size as the one below it. Okay, and now that's going to hide that ribbon and give me a nice clean finished look. I'm going to go ahead and fold this just to make sure that it can while that adhesive is still wet. Okay, so that's the back of my book. Now I'm going to do the same thing in the front. You can keep going with it. I'm just keeping this nice and simple. Okay, just make sure that it's burnished nicely. Okay. Now I have the spine, the front, and the back of my book. Again, folding it just like so. Now I'll be able to place my pages inside. So what you're going to notice here is that now my spine measures 2 inches exactly. So what I have to do is make sure that these are equidistant to each other within the space of 2 inches. So this piece here, I can go ahead and adhere all the way to the back, just like that. And that way it'll line up with that back page, and that'll give me my first page in my book. You can definitely, if you have the 1/8 of an inch size score tape, you can use that. But I'm just going to line that up just like that. And it's going to give it a cute little finished look to it. If you want to make sure that nothing's poking out of the outside here, you could also cut these. So I'll show you how to do that. Just cut these in 45-degree angles toward the inside, just on that little fold line. So you can definitely do that. Might as well. Because on that part it didn't impact anything, but on the rest it might start poking out of the book. Now to place my second page, I can either place it all the way to the front here, or if you want to, you can start then spacing these out so that you leave the same distance in between one another, and then allow the person to have a little bit of room in case they want to place something to decorate the page that's a little bit bulkier. So that's what I was thinking of when I placed these together here. So I placed them at every, let's see here, 1/4 of an inch, I believe it was, between each page there, using again the grid on the back of my book here that's on the mat. So I left a 1/4 inch space and then moved on to the other. So it's actually about, let's see here, 2/4 of an inch there. There we go. And then the next one, just like that. And of course, the idea is that you keep the same distance, and this one, there we go. I'm going to make sure it's nice and straight, so I'm going to use my bone folder here to make sure that happens. Okay, there we go. And the last one. Okay, and what you'll notice is that on the bottom they're all going to be the same, and that way, since this is a straight line, it's easier to follow than the top, and you don't have to worry about the top because obviously if they're straight on the bottom then they will be on the top. And there's the assembly of your little book. You've got a nice soft spine that is flexible, so it will allow this to kind of lay softly inside of wherever you place it. But of course we want to decorate this. What I did with the other one was that I made it super frilly because it was in the shabby chic style, but you don't have to do that. You can definitely use whatever you have on hand. So I've grabbed a shiny piece of tulle from my stash to place on top here. And now what I'm going to do is start making just layers here. I've decided to place this doily here, and I'm just going to place a small dab of hot glue there just to keep this here from moving, and then I'm going to place a doily right on top. And these are just little dies from my stash. Again, any shape or any combination that you like is what you can use. I'm going to go ahead and place this little snippet of lace here on this side. So I'm going to continue using just a little bit of hot glue here and there to hold that. Of course, you could use whatever adhesive you prefer. I'm going to place that one there, and you don't need a ton. Then I have this piece here. This is from Maggie Holmes, and I just added glitter around the perimeter of that statement that says love. I thought it played nicely with this because it's nice and shiny and cute. And then I have this other doily here that I cut out, so I'm just going to layer these two. Again, it's just papers from the same collection except for the ephemeras from Maggie Holmes. From, I don't know which collection, it's digital, so I can't remember. And then I'm just going to keep layering these little snippets of lace here. I'm going to put this one here on this edge. And what's great about this is that you can make it look so pretty without having to use a ton of material. And then if you want to pop these out a bit more, you can. You can definitely make this much more dimensional than I am right now. Just going to keep that there. And then I'm going to use the little hummingbird here, because I had envisioned him with a piece of lace behind him also. I think I'm going to stick that piece of lace behind him as if it were almost like an extra piece of wing here. And that's just because the lace is there and I want to use it. So that's how I work. And so I'm just going to go with it and not overthink it too much. Place that here. And then once I'm done with my project, that's when I clean up all of the little cobwebs that you're seeing. So try not to get overwhelmed with that in the beginning. These little adorable butterflies are, you can bend them. So that's kind of neat. So I'm going to go ahead and just place these out here. One at the bottom and one at the top. And I realize these are very soft pastel, but you know what? At the end of the day, what matters is that it's cute. Not that it is the same exact color, because I've never met a butterfly that landed on something that matched the actual butterfly. So, alright. Now I have the front here the way that I like it, and I'm going to actually add, I have some of these from the Paper Studio, which I think are absolutely gorgeous. Here and there. Add one here. That's where my eye went initially. Make sure that it's adhered to the background there. And then maybe another one down on this corner here. Just like so. And as I like to do, of course, I'm going to make use of some of these pearls, or beads, I should say. So, to keep with the paper collection here, I'm going to add them in these colors. Go ahead and add this cute little green-ish turquoise color bead. And then another one over here. And it all starts making sense little by little as you place color onto your papers. I had a design professor that used to walk by me and go, "Keep going." Keep going, Raquel, keep going. And so I've learned that, you know, if you're having fun with the process, 9 times out of 10, the result is so much better than if you're trying to follow some sort of unwritten rule. There's that one. And of course, I love monochromatic work, but at the same time, I love things that are playful and fun. I think I'm happy with that for the front of my book. It's, I'm also, of course, trying to make sure that this matches the box that it will go with, and I think I'm good with those beads there. So now what I'm going to do is the spine, and this is how I did it with the other book, was that I placed a piece of this lace from Renee Bouquets right on the spine. So I'm going to do the same with this, and make sure that it lines up with the top of the spine. I thought this, you know, looked really cute. Gave it a nice touch. And then, of course, this can get some gems on it as well. And they look like this. These are also from the Paper Studio. So I'm just going to grab some of these and then meet it up here and cut off what I don't need. This is how much I plan ahead, guys. Just do that. And it's got the pink, it's got all of these cute little kind of confetti colors on the front. And okay, so now my little book is complete. It's got the pages. I think it looks adorable. And then the front. So that is how you can go ahead and make a cute little book like this one. Of course, these dies, just to mention, were designed by Nicole. They might still be available. I don't know, but you can definitely find Nicole's dies. She sells them through AliExpress. They are her own original designs. So what I can do is I can link this in the description box below. And that way you can pick those up if you'd like to. If not, like I said before, you can definitely use any kind of rectangle shape. This is now going to fit very nicely inside of the little hat box. And I hope that this has been informative for you, that it's been useful, and that you can be inspired and be blessed. And thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.